Hi, I'm Ange, and in today's episode, we're going to explore the miracle oil, castor oil. That's right. It is a powerhouse of so many natural healing agents, along with promoting hair growth and long lashes. So let's dive in and find out a bit more about it. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Angela.
And I'm Claire, your companions on the journey to a successful and vibrant life.
We are here to debunk those media health myths and break through mental blocks that we all face.
Let's fuel your life with nourishing conversations to a healthier you. All right. Good morning.
Good morning, Claire. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Any highlights for you?
What are my highlights? Well, Logan finally completed his final portion of the military piece where it's the MEPS. So a while back he had that hernia surgery, which postpones everything, and then they require 90 days of healing in order to go to the next, to like redo the physical and the different portions of it. And so there was just been a lot of like roller coaster on it because they submitted it to one department, that department approved it, but then they're like, no, this other department needs to know about it and they need to look it over. So he had gone down there one of the times when we finally got the green light and sat down there for like 7 hours just to be called back in and look it over and said, no, like this isn't, we need a different approval. So, you know, they obviously in this space, because they're taking on kids, young men, women, you know, I'm sure they want them cleared for all these things because they do also supply health benefits, and then they're hiring. Basically, it's like I'm hiring you for a job, and then if you end up having an ailment that's not fully healed or whatnot, then you're unable to be in the military. So like I get the logistic parts of it, but it is a very new process. You know, it's not foreign. I mean, it's very foreign to his dad and I, even James. So we were just trying to figure out like how long will this take? Is this like a 3-month process now? And we're pushing everything back, and they can't really give you a time because it just depends on when this department can get to it. So it just was like a relief yesterday when he finally completed that part. And then now he's able to look over job options within the military. He's able to get an official like boot camp date to leave. And so there's all that is finally like progressing forward, and you know, I'm such a planner, and not that I want to like move him out of the house sooner, but it's just kind of like, well, I kind of want to know when you'll be gone so that I can make plans to distract myself for 90 days, you know.
Yeah. Mentally prepare.
But, yeah, all of those things. So that was like a win yesterday for us.
Yay.
Really,
congrats
for
to Logan.
Yes. Yes. And Claire, what's life been up to for you?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited. I'm starting a new endeavor. So it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be really worth it. So I'm going off and I'm going to implement my coaching model that I've kind of created with HealthSpan, and I'm going to apply it to other practices starting in Phoenix and Scottsdale area, and then kind of branch out more and more. So it's going to be going in and basically selling them on my coaches, and why, with no additional work to them, but additional revenue for them and additional patient outcomes, that they should choose me to run their my team with their patients. So I'm super excited about that. I have my first doctor that said yes. So I am
great.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with them within the next few weeks. I'm kind of just fine tuning things, figuring out contracts and just all of the specific details. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Okay. That is great news. I
Thank
know you
you.
chatted behind the scenes. I mean, even back in, I think in the fall, just of like what does your career path look like? Like, what do you
Mhm.
see? And, it's just taken time to move the parts to be where they are today. And so that's cool. The progression.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited. It all works out.
Yep.
Oh, sweet. So,
Well,
Ange, tell us a little bit about this topic. I'm really excited because I don't know much about this, and I love learning new things on these podcasts. So,
mhm.
take it away. What are we talking about today?
Well, I'm learning it as well. But there's this castor oil craze that's going on that, is like this new thing that's been around forever, but a product that has a lot of benefits to it. And I ended up purchasing, a client of mine was talking about it, and I purchased it in the fall. And just was like, okay, well, I want benefits to reap from this stuff that's natural, clean. And as we've discussed, like different products that we're either taking in or putting on our skin or things of that nature, it's just like you want the best because our skin is our biggest organ and we're absorbing things all the time.
Mhm.
And so I had first learned about castor oil when I was probably in like third grade. We had just moved here from Oregon, and my aunt was pregnant, and she was like, I believe she was overdue, like past her due date. And so I remember the word castor oil, and if she took it, then it would induce labor. And within like a short period of time of her taking it, meaning within like less than 24 hours or like maybe even that night, she went into labor. So I I had no clue other than hearing that word, and it that was the end of that until
Wow.
yeah until more recently when a client was saying she had purchased it, and then she just was reading up and learning all this stuff. So I was like, well, I want some, you know. But something we should just know off the bat of what castor oil, what's in it, is and if I'm probably gonna butcher this because fun fact, I'm not the greatest speller or reader. So
I think
but
it's
it says,
renoleic.
yeah, renoleic acid, that's 90% of it. It's a unique fatty acid that with powerful inflammatory and antimicrobial effects. So I mean, it's obviously a healing component for anti-inflammatory and reducing like swelling, inflammation, and really bringing healing.
So
It also,
for this one specifically, so I am kind of in the same boat. Someone I heard about it
Mhm,
in a podcast, and so I have castor oil because I heard that for the anti-inflammatory, you can
mhm,
actually put it near your organs before you go in the
mhm, mhm,
sauna, and it'll
mhm.
help to kind of detox your organs. Have you heard
Yes,
that?
yes, and they call that like castor oil packs, and so we'll tap in on that intention. But yes, it's excellent for detox. For me, I invested in it because I wanted to like heal the scar on my neck and some other scars that I have from just having, going into the skin doctor, having things removed. And so um, that's kind of where I started with that. And then it contains vitamin E, which is like excellent for hair and skin. And then there's omega 6 and omega 9, which are fatty acids, which omegas are good, such good things for our body. Obviously, fish has that in that, the omegas. So, like, well, salmon. Um, but so I had the castor oil, and then I snagged this vitamin E oil for my skin as a moisturizer. And I've noticed my eyelashes have gotten a lot longer.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had read up later that that's one of the perks. So
can you
I've
put
been
it in
just
your
doing the
hair
vitamin.
too?
It's pretty
For the
oily.
castor oil? Okay.
I think yes, because it also helps with scalp, and then we'll talk a little bit about the benefits of it in different areas of where to use it.
Okay.
Each area I would research like how to use it, like what's the percentage, things like that. Because you don't need a lot. And I learned when putting it on my neck, because after I get out of the shower, I like lotion up, and I even put a little jojoba oil into my regular lotion, and just like extra oil and hydration on my skin. But it just like will get on your clothes. So castor oil is pretty thick. It doesn't soak in the same as a jojoba oil. So
okay. So for someone with greasy hair, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably, and again, like these are just nuggets that I learned what it benefits for as far as the recipes and that, and like how to, those are things that I just didn't dive in on, outside of like, I just take a small amount and dab it onto my scar. And that's it. Like I just let it soak in. One thing I did know is because well, we'll get there. I'm like, this topic is just fun filled. No, that's okay. So as we've talked about, just the skin benefits, it's just rich in those fatty acids, and then it just hydrates the skin really well. So, it fights acne because of that antimicrobial thing, that as we sweat and we're getting into summer and all that, it just will benefit from cleansing that and ridding of that. I think part of my diet has helped, as we've chatted in past with like removing the sugars and stuff, my skin is cleared up, but it's just, I'm really only seeing the hormonal type of breakouts. So as I'm continuing to put on the vitamin E oil on my skin and castor oil, it just is, I'm not having them for longer periods of time before they finally go away.
Amazing.
So, and it reduces wrinkles. So I'm all about that in the crow's feet area, or the smile lines, whatever you want to call them. So
I feel like I need to go run and grab my castor oil and just start dousing myself in it.
Yeah, and I am going to touch on this right now while I'm thinking about it, but the castor oil, it is important to have it in a dark glass bottle. You don't want it in plastic, but just knowing that it's in a dark glass bottle, that there's something with that is like seals it better. It keeps it in better condition. I did add a link to our write-up, and so that just takes you to Amazon. And that's where I got it off of. So, of course, with anything, there's always a great quality, and there's always a shortcut quality. So, making sure it's just contained in the right container because of the benefits to stay in a good, where it's good quality.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it right.
Yeah, and the bottle's giant, and I imagine that'll last me like years. I'll probably have to look at the expiration date before I run out of it, because you don't need a lot. And it's tacky, so in its consistency, so it's not as you think of like olive oil, it's very runny and it would spread quickly, where this is thicker and it's a little more tacky. So putting it on, it's more of like, it's pat versus like rubbing. If that makes sense.
We'll have to put a video up of this so that people can have their tutorial.
Upwards to for less gravity,
Yes.
And then of course, with all of its moisturizing and the type of like, consistency that it is just it's conditioning to the skin. So I have noticed, because even though I stick away from my hairline as much as possible, my hair is getting oily around the hairline between castor oil and the vitamin E oil, the extra that I'm putting on. So, but at the same time, like, this is making me youthful. Like,
yes.
Even if it's oily in my hair, it's making me youthful.
Yep, there you go.
So that's the perks of the skin. And we tapped in a little bit by hair and scalp. It's great it promotes hair growth, and there's benefits within that. It prevents hair thinning. So obviously it would do that if it's preventing the hair growth or encouraging hair growth. And then it treats dandruff, which is scalp, because again, it's hydrating, moisturizing, and it obviously would add shine. But the key is just researching how to use it, and the quantity, the formula, because it's super oily. So I don't know. I haven't done any treatments to know, like, does it make my hair oily? Do I have to do a few shampoos to get it out? Again, I'm just like, what are the benefits? And then based on what I'm looking
doing
for.
It before bed, like just lathering it, putting it in like a hair mat, a hair cap. I think that would feel so good. And especially like if it has antifungal and antibacterial properties too. That is so crazy.
Yeah, all for those 3 ingredients combined together. To be honest, what got me on this road was I got my blood work back, and it talked about like the toxins and the cleanses for my liver, because my liver somehow like tripled in its numbers. Nothing like in the dangerous space, but for what they were before to that. And I don't drink, so it's not like I had a fun night the night before blood work. I didn't take Advil or Tylenol. Those things like break down in your liver. So it's just kind of was a mystery as to like what went down. But that's when I noticed online you have they're the packs. So the pack is just what I've noticed. Again, I haven't taken the time to detox because I've changed some stuff in my diet. But you put it on like a cloth, a cheesecloth or straining cloth. When you can get those with the cooking space. So you put it on there, and then you put it on that area of the organ of your topical, and you let it sit there for like 15 minutes. So those are small things that I'm like diving into, but I mean, it's huge rabbit trail I was finding myself down, but there's just different ways to detox. And again, I don't know, do you do that just one time? Are you doing it like 3 times a week? Again, those are stuff that as you want to utilize the castor oil, like how often you should do them. So again, like so many benefits to just this simple 3 ingredient thing that's all pure and clean. And I was shopping at Trader Joe's, not to throw them under the bus here, but I was like, great, this stuff is good, and it's cheap, and I'm gonna get it. And then it's just filled with terrible ingredients because I use that app, and then I just pause. I'm like, I don't want to use this anymore. And I have been on a path to find something better. Yay for the sun coming through my window right now on the blinds. But
perfectly at eye level.
I'm like, do I want a mustache or in my eyes? So yeah, and then it's great for digestive health. But it's so depending on what purpose you're using it for, it's not meant for consumption. So that's something like, what does that mean? But it has, it can rid of toxins and a little bit of what we touched on with your digestion. It's a natural laxative. So it's just it's got so many benefits. And I'm just, the more I dove into this particular podcast, is just like lists of what it can do.
This
And
is
then,
so cool.
yeah. Joint pain, as we've chatted, it's anti-inflammatory. So, for muscles, arthritis, just placing it on the joint, over time, has its benefits. And one that caught my eye is those menstrual cramps, just creating relief, and, maybe with that pack option and a heating pad, it's good. So, I also want to touch on like I read up to, while I was on the liver journey of researching on it, also thyroid, because I was like, well, I've been putting this on my thyroid. Well, my scar is on my neck, which is right in the area of my thyroid. So I started this process back in November. And when I had my blood work done recently, my thyroid has gotten better to where we're able to just see what it is to just lower my dose.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm like, well, I hope that's just by default, like working, because I've been trying to just put on my scar. But it's hard to say, like, there's it's multifactorial of like also my lifestyle, like tapering off of cardio. So it could be many things as to why my thyroid is in a better space, but I'll take it if it's contributing. I like laying in bed when I like looked it up because I couldn't sleep. I was like, I wonder if that's why my thyroid, I wonder if there's any benefit of that. And then sure enough, it did say like it's helpful to that too. So
wow. That's
yeah,
incredible. This is like a
I'll
miracle oil.
yeah. Well, that's what I was like. I want to learn more about this. So even after this podcast and
We're gonna
whatnot,
have to have a part 2.
Yeah, and just see what's happening. But then when I read that the eyelashes and your eyebrows, it thickens that. I was like, yeah, because I had a few people comment on my lashes.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, wow, yeah. And then I noticed they're just longer. You can't see them because they're so light, but when I have mascara on, they are longer. So I'm like, all right, we'll keep up this.
Yeah.
So, and the bottle might have been like $30 and it'll last. And then I do a vitamin E oil only as well. So I kind of do a combo, even though the castor oil has vitamin E. It's just the tackiness on my eyes. I didn't love that. And the crow's feet, I didn't mind it in there because it's underneath, but like your eyelids, like the tacky, sticky, I wasn't loving it. But the vitamin E oil straight up is just as benefit, because that's what's in castor oil. And then immune system and healing. It boosts your immunity, and it just stimulates lymphatic circulation, helping the body remove toxins. It heals wounds and cuts. That's why I started on the scars. Yeah, it just promotes faster healing. And I do have a scar. I like whacked my shin on this wood plank when I was doing this ropes course thing, and the scar looks, it took a divot out of my shin and the scar looks unbelievable. And that happened in October. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna look terrible, but you can barely see it now.
What?
Yeah.
See, I have those biopsies. Remember when I got the muscle biopsies on my thighs? So I need to start putting it on those because they're pretty gnarly still. And I don't know. I stopped doing the scar cream because I felt like I wasn't seeing any results.
Yeah, let's see here. I had it in the middle of October is when I whacked my shin. And then by November, I was purchasing it for my neck. Then I was like, well, where are other scars? And I just start like dabbing myself with it. But I can't believe like my shin, because I went a whole month. Like it had healed, like scabbed over, it was healed per se. but the scar was still there. So I was like, no, I don't want this thing on this is not helping my legs.
I'm gonna try it starting with well, actually I'm gonna do all of them. I'm gonna do before and after pictures and do an experiment because I have one from 4th grade.
Yes.
So I would be curious to start testing it because it looks the same ever since. So,
and I have like a tan
experiment
right now. So I was like, is it maybe because it's hiding in the tan? But I'm like, no, it's the color has changed. You know, scars can like be white and I'm like, no, it's different. So we'll know in the winter, but I'm just going to after all my lotion, I just dab it on to my little spots. And then last but not least, your nails and cuticle. So just putting on that hydrates and protects your nails. And I'm like, I should try it on my thumbs. They constantly tear. So
I know.
but although I'll be like walking around like, don't touch me, I'm sticky, you know, till it soaks in.
You're like, let me do your hair.
Yeah, I know. It's like hair is like sticking to your fingers or my fingers. But yeah, I just liked, after my experience with like reading ingredients on my skin products and knowing that our epidermis is absorbing everything, what can I control? You know, I can't control the ingredients that are put in there. And I don't want to spend, you know, what, $100? I mean, you can spend $75 on a moisturizer or skincare line, like just for one product. And this is a huge bottle filled with for $30. So I'm just like, sign me up. And so far, so good. And I like how my skin feels like it's glowing all the time.
I love that.
Yeah. So a lot of things that are beneficial, and I do want to dive into the toxin thing for myself and just read more on it and see what that really looks like and what's recommended, you know, how many times a week. And yeah, that is my action. You're right. Absolutely.
All right.
So Claire, what's your clarification?
Oh, my clarification is just go out, try it for yourself. Castor oil, you would never know how many benefits that it could really have. So before maybe going to something that has more chemicals in it, try some castor oil and see. I'm not a doctor, so go to a doctor if it's serious, of course.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. Right. But you know, maybe you could resort to this instead of some of the other things, even like some anti-inflammatory medications. Maybe this could be a substitution. So I'd be really curious, and I'm excited to test it out. Yeah.
Well, Claire, thanks. Let's see what our next episode's on. Any hints? Or
our next one I'm pretty excited about. I'm going to be interviewing you this time, so flipping the script, and I'm going to get, I don't know, hopefully our listeners will get a little bit more of Ange. Who is she?
Here we go. We'll see you guys on next week.
See you next week.